Hello, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation, the silver to gold ratio, and why I believe it will never go down to its natural levels or even close. When you think of the silver to gold ratio, usually it's thought of in two ways. Number one, the natural ratio, which some estimate to be anywhere between 9 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold, or 17 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. In other words, that natural ratio, some feel that it should reflect the price ratio between silver and gold, so that it would 1 ounce of gold would cost about 9 or 17 ounces of silver. But we've seen for quite a long time that that has not been the case. In fact, at the time of the recording of this video, it's about 80 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. And there's been myriad of different types of commentary on this subject. But I believe that we will never see those natural ratio, in other words, the conflux of the natural ratio with the price ratio. I believe we will never see those again. For quite a while, the United States has set the price of silver to gold, and that was at 15 to 1. And that's what you see here, 15 ounces of silver before your very eyes here in various different forms. But nonetheless, it's that's not a realistic picture of what the actual silver to gold ratio should be. And much of that time, gold was very hard to come by and to be able to purchase. And also it was a time when we used silver in our pocket change. And so, with that being said, and with the production and mining figures of silver and gold occurring, what gives? Why is the price so separate and why is there this large gap between the price of silver to gold? And I believe that the same arguments for the reason why it should be a narrower range is an argument why it will stay wide, in my opinion. And it all centers around one simple concept that I will touch on here later. But all these ounces of silver here and 1 ounce of gold that we see before us here. And so the question is where do these things and what has happened throughout history? We've seen the gold to silver ratio fluctuate. There is a video on YouTube that shows the historical aspect to see how silver and gold have been in relation to each other in terms of price. And it's been all over the map since they started tracking these things from the 1800s to today. And by most estimates here, 80 to 1 is a pretty big gap. And why is that? I think that the biggest reason why we're seeing that is because of volatility of silver. Silver has become a duality metal, in my opinion. As a fan of silver, I see it as money. It's beautiful. It's quite a unique metal. It has a quite a unique specific gravity. It's the most reflective metal. And it is money, and it's been used as money for thousands of years. But because of the properties of the metal being so unique and fascinating, it is being used in industry. It is amazing how much it is being used in industry, in the biomedical fields, all sorts of applications for silver out there. And I think it is precisely because of those uses and a widening and narrowing in some cases, and the threat of other materials being created to possibly replace silver is some of the reason why that ratio is high. Now, notwithstanding, I think any intelligent, intellectually honest person sees that there is manipulation in the markets with the precious metals as there are in almost every other market out there. And silver's unique properties and applications and uses, I think, part of what drives some of not only market prices, but also manipulation within the different aspects, the LBMA, the COMEX, and etc. And gold's uses are also so relatively widespread. But because gold is treasured and held both culturally and as central governments and as individuals, gold's concept of being treasured is one reason why I believe you don't see quite the price fluctuation in it as much. It is seen as a store of value, in many cases, even more so than silver. But nonetheless, its price is manipulated, but I don't think quite as much, in my opinion, as silver. Although I do believe there is some manipulation there as well. So with that being said, I think that's part of the reason. So silver is being used in industry. There is the concept of demand. That's right, demand. And I believe, just as is the case with a previous video that I posted about what determines the value of coinage in general and numismatic, the key is demand. And demand determines price on both fronts. And I believe that there is strong demand for silver in these applications, but there's also enough supply to provide those applications. Now, there are conflicting numbers there as well. Some estimates from the Silver Institute say that there's not enough supply to meet demand, but for what given period of time. I posted a video about how silver is plentiful. And really, it is, as a byproduct of mining gold and other metals, by the way, such as nickel and other applications. We are getting a lot of it out of the ground, a lot of it. And I think that's part of the reason why the price is low. I believe that we should be accumulating it if we can afford to? Yes, indeed. I am still a proponent of accumulating silver as a preserver of wealth because I believe it holds those properties just as much as I do believe it as a commodity being used in industry. And so that is why I am bullish on silver, but also equally as much gold, because you can hold a lot more of it in a smaller package such as this. Now to sort of prove my point about how demand is the determining factor with the gold to silver ratio, and why I believe it will never hit the natural ratio of a 9-to-1 or even 17-to-1 by a more conservative estimate. And that is because of the nature of gold to platinum. That's right. Platinum, ladies and gentlemen. It is if anything, platinum is probably seen more as a commodity than it is money. Platinum, with all intents and purposes, is a late bloomer to the world of precious metals. It was discovered, I think, in the late 1700s and has been used mainly by Russia as coins at one point, but they really didn't circulate that much. But the other thing is that it has been used as a bullion metal, but not nearly as much as gold or silver. And though there is an abundance of platinum in the Earth's crust, there's more platinum in the Earth's crust than there is gold. It is very difficult to mine and to procure. And we've seen that platinum has stayed under the price of gold. Because when you take into account its above ground rarity, some estimates say between 20 to 50 times rarer than gold, but yet it's cheaper than gold. So not only did it meet parity, but it surpassed the parity of gold, platinum, and that's the market. The market is driving that. It's demand, supply and demand. So the answer as to why I believe the gold to silver ratio will remain not anywhere close to the natural ratio is an example of platinum and palladium, by the way, as well, which I believe is in some cases even rare. And it's about what people, the perception that they have of these metals. And it's that perception that silver and the demand for it is much more applicable today than ever before with the industrial and biomedical and industry with those applications than gold or silver. Gold is treasured culturally and geopolitically and as a store of wealth. So there you have it. And by the way, I say it's still good to keep in mind and to look at the ratio to see where it lies and take advantage of it if you can. With a myriad of factors, you can trade the ratio, as mentioned in a book that I reviewed a while ago. There's ways to do that, but also, if the ratio tightens up, well, you may be able to take some of your silver and trade it in for gold at that kind of value. But in my opinion, it's not wise to wait until it's going to get down to 20 to 1 or to 18 to 1 or that type of thing. I don't think it's going to get there ever again. I would be very surprised if it ever got anywhere near that. So there you have it, my take on it. Post your thoughts below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude y'all for watching and encourage you to please rate, comment, and subscribe.